Welcome to the Life of Hair. My name's James Atkinson and this is a special episode. This is a fantastic industry event, Lee Stafford's Facebook Live. He holds one Sunday a month where he demonstrates a fantastic contemporary haircut, all based around his philosophy for Lee Stafford education. And in some of my earlier videos, you'll see me teaching for Lee at Hull College, where we had a fantastic time. So if you want to look back on those and see what Lee Stafford education's all about, then be my guest. We're going to go to Lee's home today and hang out in his studio / salon space.
Hello guys, how you doing? So the haircut I'm going to share with you tonight is the curve. And it's called the curve because there's lots of curves in it, but I really love this haircut. It's a real salon friendly winner. You know, I've used a combination of this kind of shape on lots and lots of clients, so it's a real commercial one. So let's start off with the sectioning pattern, the pre-sectioning pattern. So what we've done here, we've done our classic horseshoe section that we do at Lee Stafford Academies, points. Then what we've done is we've sectioned off the sides, so the section goes right sort of in between the hairline there and the ear, and we do that on both sides. Around the back here we take a section from the top of the ear to the top of the ear on the other side, which gives us this big section throughout the middle. And on the top what we do is we go from these side sections here, we go up here. The fringe, what we do here is we do it asymmetric here, and that's about, I say that's about 3 centimetres there, and it goes down to a centimetre on this side. And then the top is just split into 2, which gives us them 2 sections. So that's the pre-sectioning. So what we're going to do first of all, we're going to stick in a nice solid 1 length bob at the back. And the length that I'm going for is I just want to see that pivot point. Imagine that was a tattoo there on the neck. So I just want to expose that. So what we've done is we've just dried off this section, and with a pair of clippers, I'm just going to lower my chair so my eye line is in line with where I want this line to sit. It's always a bit more awkward if you're trying to put a line in and your eye line is above that line or even below that line. Just try to get your eye line completely in line with the line you're cutting. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the clippers and we're just literally going to go in nice and straight. And I can see there, if you see that, Luke, you come around here, you can see that needs to go a little bit higher still. So always going a little bit longer to begin with, because you can always take it a little bit shorter, can't you? You can see now, you can just see that pivot point through there. So that's about the length that we want. So what we're going to do in there, we're just going to sketch this line in. So I'm not worried too much about getting it absolutely perfect as far as, you know, taking off the graduation at the bottom. So what we're going to do, we're just going to take a vertical section right down. When I pull this hair up, you can see I've got that guide there from that line that we've just cut. So we're going to use that longest length that we've got there, and then we're just going to cut this exactly the same length, just like you would do a uniform layer. Nice and simple. So once we've done that, we're then going to change our sectioning into a horizontal section. And we've got our guide now up the top there, which we've just cut through that vertical section. And we're going to put it straight out from the head. I want to move my body so my body is directly in front of the section that I'm cutting. If my body is sort of behind it, I've got the chance of over directing it quite easily. Where if your body's right in front of it, there's much less chance. So again, you can see there, we've got our guide from that section there. And we're just following it around the head. So I'm moving my body around and pulling it straight out from the head. You can see that guide that we've got there. And then I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. And the beauty of doing this on one side and then the other before you take off what's underneath of it is because you can get your balance right before you take off what's through the middle. So I'm going to take another little horizontal section here. If you come right behind over my shoulder, you'll see that we've got that guide there from that section there, and again there. Yeah. And then I'm going to move my body around, so there's no chance I'm over directing it at all. So that's what we do in our classic uniform layout at Lee Stafford Education. Now when we go back to our vertical sections, we've got very, very strong guidelines. We've got the guideline from the top of our bob, and now we've got a strong guideline from the top of that line that we've just cut. So I'm going to start off just by taking it off through the middle there, and then we'll go up and connect it to that as well. So we're just following the shape of the head. So what we're going to do now is we're only going to connect it to the top. So we're just going to connect it to the top of that section. So we're just going to cut it nice and square. So when this drops now, what we're going to have a little bit of hair that's going to fall over that. And when we connect it in, we're going to keep that weight quite heavy through that area, which is quite prone to getting a bit of a hole in. And we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So if you notice, when we're doing the uniform layout, when I'm cutting this side, my body's here, and when I'm cutting this side, my body just shifts here. So I'm doing exactly the same on both sides, which is going to give me more chance to get exactly the same. So my fingers are pointing, they're pointing down to the floor on that side, they're pointing up to the ceiling on this side. So I'm keeping them very, very vertical. I'm not worried too much about this, damping this down as I go, sort of letting it dry off so I can see the shape. We're going to leave that hair there, which is the last section behind the ear, pulling it straight out. So I'm just going to pull this down, natural fall, not too much tension, and we're just going to connect that. I'm going to take a horizontal section here, and we're going to follow that line that we did around the back. So we're going to pull this straight away out from the head. You can see that guide there from around the back, and we're just going to follow this all the way through to the front, moving my body around with the head so that there's going to be no over direction there. Now the next section, it's just really important that you're aware that you're leaving enough hair out. We don't want to take this too fine and we end up with sort of spider's legs around here. We want it to be quite weighty. So I would go above the temple here just to make sure we're leaving plenty of hair there, maybe even a little bit more. We can always take a bit more hair off, but once you cut it off, it's gone. And now we're going to pull this up. We're going to cut it into that line. So we're pulling it right the way up now, and then we're going to leave this piece disconnected below it, and then we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So we're going to take a horizontal section, and then we're going to pull it all the way up, connect to that section around the back. So we're just going to move my body around, pull it straight out from the head. We're just going to follow that line, just like we do in the uniform layout that we teach at our academies. So it's the same length all the way around here, and again we're going to pull it all the way up, connect it into that top guide, and again we're leaving that disconnected. So nice and simple. Nice and simple and nice and quick. These out of the way because we're going to cut the fringe now. We're going to comb that down and our fingers are going to sit just on the bridge of the nose on a 45-degree angle. So they're just going to sit there right on the bridge, and my finger angle is going to be 45 degrees, the same as that section. And just using the points of the scissors, just so we get a heavy line, but we also get sort of a textured line. And then we comb what's to the side, and my fingers are still going to be at a 45-degree angle. Using the points of the scissors, just go down here nice and slowly, so we get that nice heavy line, but we get that angle with the fringe. So that underneath is all done there, the head. And whereas the flop, my fingernails were looking away from me when I did it, when we start off, your fingernails have to look at you because you have to flip it around so your fingernails are looking away from you. If you start with your fingernails looking at you, you leave plenty of guide, because when you do the flip, you stand back, watch my feet, you can see me flip it over like that.
Whoa, hang on. Right, okay, that was impressive. Alright, I didn't know that was coming. Right, let's do that again.
Okay, so I'm going to grab the hair, my fingernails looking at me, leave plenty of guide, and then I flip my whole body around like that.
Right.
And now we're going to leave a little bit of length there so that we can always, we've got a bit of the safety valve again, and then we're going to come in and curve that hair again. Coming in, curving it round. So when we let it down again, we're going to, got the makings of that curve. So again, we will then take it off. You can see by me leaving a little bit of safety, I haven't got any holes there. And now you will come in again and just start to refine with the points of the scissors that curve.
Tracy has just written, I may flop first, then flip. So is there an order, or can you do it either or?
What? You can come over it from that curve. So I'm just putting the head down, so as if your client's head was just leaning forward a little bit. Just so I'm using the points of the scissors again, just so we're working on a nice curve through there. Now you can leave this as long or as short as you want it. Just, you know, down to, you know, what the client wants and suitability. You can see we're getting a nice curve on that now. We're just using the shank of our scissor, just like that. And that's how we cut it. So that's done. So now we're going to split that into two. So now we've got a strong section on either side, and we're just going to pull these into the middle, into that point. I'm going to pull it all the way up. You can see the guide again. And we go all the way to the end. And then last but not least, this one, we pull it into the middle.
So just working with over direction there, Leo.
A little bit of over direction there. We're connecting it to the underneath, but leaving that length there. So we've just got a massive curve that we've carved out. So we're pulling this all the way up. There's the guide from the underneath. You can see that just there. And again, we are going to connect it to the underneath, but we are working up, leaving that length. So again, we've got a big curve that we're working through that shape there. We then take this section here, the one behind it, and we do exactly the same thing. We put it all the way up. We work to that guide there using the shank of the scissor, making sure we keep all that length there. And then we've got one last section, and this one is a smaller section than that one because of the shape of the asymmetric fringe. So we're just going to do this in one hit. So we go, use that section underneath there, See it there? And again, we are going from short to long. And you've got, so you can see you've got all this overhang. Even though it all connects, or a lot of it connects on the underneath. And some you might want to connect completely. All depending. So I would just sort of take the time with this now. This is just like razoring it really. You don't want to go in like a bull in the china shop. You just want to, again, this is the sort of refining bit now. So you just want to decide how much of this you take off. So I think I might want to keep a little bit of this connection there. I don't want it to be too sort of fluffy.
So that's it. We've had a fantastic time here with Lee Stafford Education, and Lee Stafford doing a wicked haircut that you've just seen from this video. I've really enjoyed myself. The crew that he's got are a fantastic bunch of guys. We've got Luke on the camera, and we've got Aaron doing the production, who are currently out of focus. There they are. So thanks for that, boys. Absolutely loved it. And this has been The Life of Hair. If you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel. I mainly do tutorial content these days, but just sometimes I want to bring you snippets of the industry and things that you may never seen before. So subscribe, give me a thumbs up, comment down below if you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again next week for another episode of The Life of Hair.